shop, Rob from Woodsley Summercraft here. You may remember, probably a year ago, I attempted miserably, I failed miserably, at trying to spalt some of my own wood. I've since studied it some more, and I've been speaking to a few people online. I'll leave some links in the description below so you can contact them yourself if you wish to. But I'm attempting again to spalt some of my own wood. This time I'm going big or going home. I've got my hands on some spalting spores, and they are in petri dishes in the fridge, and I'll be using them. But first of all, I have to prepare all of my wood. So I've been cutting blanks today, and these are my blanks that I'm going to attempt to spalt. Some of it's relatively green, but not all of it. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'll just bring you in and show you what I've got here, and I'll explain the process that I'm going to go through. Okay, so you can see the wood blanks that I've got here. This is actually a maple bowl blank, and it is fairly plain. There is very little grain or coloration to it at all. So that would be my bowl blank. I also have a couple of, I don't know what you'd call them, just pieces of maple. They're not any specific type of blank, but they could be cut up into pen blanks, or maybe a couple of small spindles, a few small spindles, or whatever you want. But again, if you look at them, they're fairly plain maple. They're very hard, they're very dry, so I have to bring up the moisture content of all of this wood before I attempt it. Now this is poplar. These two blanks are poplar. I cut them myself last year sometime. They're actually dry now, but I'm gonna have to bring up their moisture content as well. And again, it's very bland, very plain wood, so I'm hoping that I can get some spalting action going on in there and create some zone lines, because spalted wood I find absolutely stunning. Now I've got some oak as well. You can see there is no spalting at all in any of this oak, but it's a very tight grain, again very dry. So I've got two pieces just like that, again no spalting, very dry. I've got some pieces of red oak, would be spindle blanks I guess you could call these. No spalting in this oak either, very tight grain, very dry. I'm going to have to again bring up the moisture content of everything. And the rest of it is hackberry, and this was cut this year, so the moisture content is probably a little bit higher than the rest. Right, so I've got a couple of potential bowl blanks right here. There is a little bit of a crack there, but the pith is right here, right here, so they may crack, but hackberry is very stable, very hard wood, so I'm hoping that we can get something out of this. Now if you look at the grain in this wood already, this is dry. I've just cut it on the bandsaw. There's no oil or water or anything on it, but just beautiful. Just beautiful coloration. Little spindle there, little box blank. Again, it's going to be interesting. I don't actually think that that is considered spalting. I believe that that is just part of the coloration of hackberry. Just lovely piece of wood, really is. Very hard. It's like marble, this stuff. Just like marble. Rock hard. Some of it I'm leaving the bark on, the hackberry. I'm not worried about that. This will all fit in a 14-gallon container, and we'll get to that next. Alright, so the things I had to purchase were, I actually bought two of these 15-gallon containers that have lids. They seal completely. I bought some rubbing alcohol. That's just to clean these before we put the vermiculite in, which is this stuff. I've got two of these of vermiculite and this heating pad. I can set this to the temperature. I want to get the temperature up to 85 degrees. Right, so what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to bring this outside. I'm going to bring everything outside, put all the wood in this container and soak it. I'm going to fill it up with water, and I'm going to leave it for 24 hours. After 24 hours, I'm going to take everything out. I'm going to clean this with the alcohol, put the vermiculite in it, and put some water in there, just to the level of the vermiculite, not above it, just just under it. This heating pad will be sitting underneath of this container on a rubber mat or a wooden mat. I'm going to go with a rubber mat. That will then bring heat up inside here, and then I will apply my spores to the end grain of each one of these blanks, which will now be wet. I can apply the spores and then stack them inside the container, completely filling the container up with wood the best I can. Put the lid on and seal it. Leave it for 24 hours and then check the water inside. If there's no water in it, then I can add water to it, but I'll be using distilled water as well, not tap water, distilled water. I don't really want to add any contaminants in there at all. So I'll be cleaning it with alcohol, using distilled water, the vermiculite, the heating pad, and I think we'll be good to go. Okay, so there you have it. Now I'm going to bring all of this stuff upstairs into the carport outside, and then we'll get this process underway. Okay, so now I'm going to stack the wood into the container just so that it's all there, and I'm going to submerge it in water. So there's a couple of oak blanks right there, my 3 red blanks, and my 2 poplar blanks. Then I'm going to put my maple in. And then the rest is all hackberry, which is an exceptionally hard wood. And this is already fairly wet wood. Okay, that's all in the corner of the carport. So now I'm just going to fill this up with water. Just wetting this wood brings out the colour. Look at the hackberry, absolutely lovely. I'm looking forward to seeing some spalting action in this wood. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'll put the lid on because it's wanting to float. I'll tell you what, probably the best thing for me to do is to take this ugly old piece of wood and throw that on top just to hold it now. Who's that guy? Perfect.